Welcome to the Choose on Purpose podcast, where we live with intention. I'm your host, Becky Ploutz, and today I am talking all about mindful action and how to move forward with purpose and presence and the importance of that, right? So, like ditching that autopilot mode and really looking at how important it is to learn to be mindful and how that can help you take intentional action to, avoid burnout and to stay aligned with your purpose driven goals that you have. So, welcome to the conversation. Let's dive in. Let's talk about how mindfulness can transform the way that you take action, right? It's there to help us to stay intentional and focused and aligned with our bigger vision, right? So, an example of this is, I was really in this mode of proving to myself that I could stay consistent in doing what I knew was beneficial for my mental and physical health um, back in 2020. And I I said yes to what's called the Live Hard Challenge. And it's all about really staying consistent in mental toughness. And this is really an example for me of how even in times of challenge, that I was setting myself up very mindfully, like planning out to stay away from judging myself to say like, I don't have time to do that for my physical health, for my mental health. I don't have time to slow down. I don't have time to do these things because that's the reel that plays in my personal head. Right. It was about showing up, doing the thing imperfectly, but mindfully, making sure that I was doing the things that I was committed to consistently for 75 days. That was the challenge. Now, if you don't know about the Live Hard Challenge, it's some tasks like going outside for 45 minutes for movement. So I was doing a walk for 45 minutes every day for 75 days. Another one was a workout, and it didn't have to be outside. It could be inside or outside. Another one. So two 45-minute workouts. One must be outside. Reading 10 pages of a nonfiction book. And that was a big one for me because I'm a slower reader and I couldn't use audiobooks. It was a challenge that was specific with these criterias for mental toughness. Okay. So reading a physical book 10 pages a day even was like sometimes I felt like I didn't have time to do that, right? Have time. No, I was creating the time mindfully to make sure I was getting those things done. And taking a progress picture was another task, and sticking to a specific diet meal plan that I picked for those 75 days. No cheat meals, no alcohol, which that wasn't the challenge for me. I've never been much of a drinker anyway, so that wasn't it. But those were the tasks that for 75 days straight, you did those. And if you missed any of those tasks, oh, and drinking water, it's a gallon of water a day, which I know a lot of people cannot do. I love drinking water, and I committed to tracking that with my big jug of water. And so this was my example that I wanted to share about how, I was really in this mindful state of making sure that I was carving out the time to be intentional, to be focused, and to stay in alignment with my bigger vision, which was that I wanted to prove to myself that I could do 75 days consistency, no like wiggle room to say, maybe tweak this a little bit. I gave myself no wiggle room, but it was about being mindful in how I structured my day to make sure that I held my commitment to myself, right? And I had to stay neutral. I had to stay away from judging myself for doing things imperfectly, and really about just getting them done, making sure I had that consistent muscle being built. Okay, so there's a couple problems with autopilot that I wanted to bring up in this episode. So many people, right, take action reactively rather than intentionally. Now, I of course do this as well, but more and more it's about catching ourselves. What are those things that we're doing that we're on autopilot? I'm not present in the moment while I'm doing this thing, right? Get back to the present moment. Be intentional in the things that we're showing up for, and especially the things that we are saying we are committed to, right? So there's signs you might be in autopilot mode that you want to check on, like saying yes to everything without considering if it in fact aligns with your goals. So I want to encourage you to make sure you know what your goals are. Are they in front of you? Are you reading what your goals are? Are you seeing your goals? Are you feeling those goals? Are you really visualizing them being completed and yours and in the now, like how you feel about those goals? So if you're saying yes to everything without considering those goals, I encourage you to slow down, right? To check in with yourself about what is yours to do. And if it's in alignment with what you want and what you're focused on building momentum with right now in your life. Another thing that could be a sign that you might be on autopilot mode to check out is, feeling drained or unfulfilled. Even though you're consistently doing things, that's an indicator that it's might not be the right things that you're doing. You're simply checking off the box for something that isn't fulfilling you. This could be an indicator that you're not moving the needle forward because it's not something that's yours to be doing. And that's draining. That's how you could get on a path of feeling like you're burning out on something that isn't fulfilling to you. So pay attention to that. And then hustling from task to task without a sense of real progress being made, right? So making sure that, again, stop doing the things that are just keeping us in busy mode and get movement on what truly matters to you and your vision and to your mission. And also, like, why more action doesn't actually always mean that it's better. This is something I wanted to talk about as, another problem with autopilot is that just taking more action doesn't necessarily mean that it's better than taking no action. Because now this is where I was saying burnout mode can come into play, right? Because you're filling your days with meaningless things to you. And I'm sure they're meaningful to someone. And if it isn't meaningful for you and you're continuing to spin your wheels because it's something to do, this is where it becomes a problem that you're on autopilot. Okay. And these are things to pay attention to, take a look at, feel it out, see if any of those strike you. Okay. So, let's talk about what is mindful action. The power of mindful action is there. And really, it's about taking intentional steps while staying in the present moment. So again, checking in with yourself, making sure it's in alignment. Is it, through the lens of this movement is in alignment with this focus that I have right now? There's a balance, there's a harmony between doing the things and being the person, right? There's a mindfulness that really helps you slow down in order to speed up what you're doing because it's intentional, right? And then there's a ripple effect that really happens when we think about mindful action. The ripple effect is greater clarity to smarter decisions that we're making in our life, right? Because when we're clear, we aren't just doing something to do it. We're doing more of the right things, and we're saying no to the things that are wrong or just simply not in alignment right now or maybe ever with our own mission. And that's okay. This is where there's power in the mindful actions that we're taking. And the ripple effect of mindful action is also looking at energy, right? Energy is directed toward what truly matters to us. So, right, it isn't about pulling away. Energy is directed toward what truly matters. So there's so much power in that, right? And then another thing is that you avoid burnout. While making the meaningful progress, you turn away from burnout because you're finding fulfillment. You're feeling good, you're feeling empowered, and it's like it all matters. You're excited to do those seemingly small things because they matter more toward your goal, your purpose. And you'll be living on purpose when you're doing these things. When you tap into the power of mindful action and knowing that each move matters, that is living on purpose. So let's talk about some like practical strategies to take mindful action. Okay. So this is your challenge for the week to really step into some of these. Okay. If not all of them, I think you can do it. I know you can. I know you can. Okay. So let's talk about some strategies. One, I mean, pause before we're acting. There's power in the pause. I have heard this for years. And it's when I've been practicing this pause for myself to understand the power in taking a breath and then asking, is this in fact aligned with my goal, with my mission, with my purpose this week, this month, this year, right now, in this moment? Is this aligned with my goal? Right? Before I move, give yourself, this is me too, giving myself, this has been the practice for me that I want to just remind you of. There's so much power in that pause. So pause before you act. Take a beat, take a breath. Another one is, the strategy of setting a daily intention. I know we talk about this a lot, but there's so much power in that to define, what does success look like for you today? Like right now, as you're listening to this, are you feeling successful in the way that your day is shaping up or has, if you're listening to this at the end of the day? Did you set an intention for your day to know what it was going to look like, to be able to honestly assess? Were you mindful today? Were you on purpose today? Another practical strategy is to schedule some white space time, which is really time to reflect, to ensure your actions align with your purpose. I carve out time on a Sunday to tap into getting the things out of my headspace and putting them onto paper or into a document of, what am I thinking about? Sometimes it's a checklist, sometimes it's free flow writing, and I call it Think Tank. I actually host this inside of the Work on Purpose with Purpose community space now at 2:00 Central on a Sunday. And if you are interested in coming to attend one for free as my guest, please contact me. I would love to invite you to join us in that opportunity. And you can email me at work.onpurpose.withpurpose@gmail.com, and I will gladly invite you to come in as a guest to a Sunday at 2 o'clock for the think tank. This is where you have white space to think of a blank canvas of a paper. And you're going to come in, you're going to put the thoughts that you have in your head onto paper. And this is to help clear up some mental energy, some space to reflect, to ensure that your actions align with your purpose for the week. This is to set you up for success. Another strategy is, you can use the 5-second rule. You can mindfully move from thought into action without overthinking it. Staying away from the overwhelming thoughts that consistently hold you back. But 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, as Mel Robbins would say, right? And take the action now. Move intentionally and mindfully. Okay, and then the last strategy I wanted to share, is the simplistic power of celebrating your small wins. Any wins, small, large, right? All of them matter, because small steps create big change in our life. And acknowledging the progress to build the momentum without stress, without, all of that, and just the power of celebrating. Oh, I did that one thing that Becky from last week totally avoided. This week, celebrating that I took a step toward the thing that I might have ignored again. And I chose differently today. Yay! That's a strategy, y'all. Like, celebrate your wins. So much power in that. And okay, let's wrap this up. Some takeaways from this episode that I want to just really highlight about how to move forward with purpose and presence in case you need the synopsis. Like, autopilot mode keeps you busy and not always fulfilled, right? Let's face it, not always fulfilled. The only thing I want on autopilot is my cruise control when I'm going from point A to point B and I only need the consistent speed. But autopilot mode, can keep us from feeling fulfilled. Another takeaway is that mindful action leads you to clarity, to focus, and to intentional growth. Yes and amen. Right? And then small purposeful steps create long-term success. So make sure you know what that success is daily. That's the small things that mean so much. Make sure that you're paying attention to daily success. What is that today for you? Because those small steps create big change in your life. And I know you can do it. I know that you are doing it. Your best thinking got you to click on this podcast. So what's one action you're taking this week with more mindfulness? Share it with me on social media, #ChooseOnPurpose. You can tag me if we are connected on there. I would love to see that. What's the one action you're taking this week to be more mindful? If you need support, I would love to be your support system. I would love to have the Work on Purpose with Purpose community be your soul family and support you in any way we can in the movement of your intentional life. And I want to thank you for tapping into this episode of the Choose on Purpose podcast. I appreciate you for your reviews, for sharing this with someone that needs to hear the message about mindful action. And until next week, love yourself, live fearlessly, and do all things on purpose. Bye, y'all.